Morning. Um, so I was listening to Liz Gilbert's Big Magic podcast yesterday with Brene Brown. I'm a little bit behind. Um, she released it a couple, I think maybe a week, maybe 2 weeks ago. Uh, but I was just getting around to listening to the last few that I missed, and I was driving into work, and I heard this quote or this statistic. And I don't remember if it was Liz or Brene. I think it was Brene that said, yeah, it was Brene. In her studies of shame and vulnerability, um, something like 85% of people had a specific childhood memory where they remember being shut down or feeling shame around creating and around being artistic. And I kind of chuckled when I heard it because I have my own memory of it. And I remember I was 5 years old, I think it was five, and I was preparing to sing in the school talent show. And I was just like ready. I was going to sing Mariah Carey, and I was like, I got this. And I've been practicing, and I was so just like ready to rock this talent show. Um, and then a teacher told me that didn't I want to do a dance instead because more people could be involved in that. And I just remember feeling so shattered because I wanted to sing and I wanted to do this like solo thing and I wanted to be Mariah and I had this whole vision um, of what I wanted in my performance, what I wanted for the show, and then now I was doing this group dance and I had to work with all these people, and if you know me, you know that is not my thing. Um, I'm, and so ever since then, I really haven't wanted to sing in public. And it's kind of a weird thing because for the last few years, I've kind of made it a goal of mine to do it. And I'm not going to sing on this video. But I haven't done it. And I was in my high school musicals and I sang there, and the whole time, like, my voice is shaking and my mouth is like twitching, and I have such bad nerves now because of not just that incident, but just like over the years, like becoming more and more apprehensive about performing in public, specifically singing in public. And hearing that statistic, it's like, man, you know, it sucks that so many people have these memories and that we as adults um, aren't always aware of the impact, the lasting impact that we can have on children by making these little comments or little suggestions as we see them, but um, taking into effect like we are authorities, and kids are taught to do what they're told so much of the time. And when you tell a kid not to create in so many words, like, that's powerful. It's too bad. And so that was on my mind, and um, a conversation that I had with my aunt like a week or two ago was on my mind. I was telling her about um, kind of the residual effects of my sexual assault and I told her in relation to career, and I told her I didn't ever want to do something that I didn't want to do again, and that is a direct result of being forced to do something and feeling like I didn't have a choice in the matter. Um, and so I wasn't willing to be silent anymore, and that was something that I had to um, my silence in that situation and in that incident um, was a tool that I used for survival, and I did not want to remain silent anymore in regards to with partners or in regards to any other facet of my life. I wasn't willing to be silent because my silence was misinterpreted. Possibly, I don't think it was in that instance, but I don't want there to be any mistaking what my intentions are, what my want and desires are. And so for me, in order for me to be clear, I have to speak it, I have to assert it, and I have to be sure of it, and I have to own it. And so all of that to say, I have been having a really hard time lately, more so than a lot of people probably can imagine, because I am not the best at showing emotion. I think I said that in one of these videos. I'm not the best, and I really just kind of hold things in and take things in and keep them there, and I kind of implode, you know. But I've been having a lot of the symptoms of PTSD coming back and really in full force. Plus anger. Anger is new, but my temper these days is 0 to 60, and anybody can get it. And it's not the kind of person that I want to be. I'm normally I'm moody, but not mean. And I have felt like being mean lately. And so I decided to um, take some actions in order to really focus on my wellness and focus on um, using the energy that I do have to really devote it to my passions, to my research, to getting my website up and going, and really my next steps for my career. Um, and that definitely has some impact on what's going on in my life right now. And everybody's been really supportive of my decision, and so that's great. But of course, like I really wonder, did I make the right decision? And in so many ways, I've gotten signs that I have. None bigger than this one. So, the day after I make the decision and say I've got to call it, I have to go into kind of power save mode, and all of the apps running in my background that I'm not, I have to shut them down, and I have to really focus and concentrate my energy on my passions, because the other things are not feeding me, right? They're not giving me as much as I'm giving, and so I'm left feeling depleted. But the thing about working on your passion is that you're getting something back from it. And so even though I'm expending a tremendous amount of energy on my research, is going to be a beast of work to accomplish and to kind of go through. But I get so much out of it that it's worth it. Whereas other things that I do, and I've had to say no to, or I've had to pull out of, or I've had to kind of reevaluate how I'm involved in certain things. Um, the reason being because I don't get enough back, and I can't afford to spend without getting a good investment return, a return on my investment. So yesterday, I went to a meeting with a researcher who is looking at, or she works with dignity therapy, and she talks to people in hospice and palliative care, and she gets their stories and she interviews them. She and a team of other researchers, they interview these patients, and they create these kind of life books. Um, Many times these books are passed on to families and caretakers. Sometimes they're not. Sometimes it's just, you know, in your last days, really having someone as a witness to affirm your life and affirm that, you mattered. And it's just such a beautiful process to me. And, some people think working with and around death or the elderly is kind of sad. And I just think there's so much to be learned, and there's so much to be gained. And it's, I've just always, I thought that it's just a very respectable and, and honorable work to give dignity to someone and to help someone feel that they matter in such a real way when their bodies are literally, you know, um, are giving out on them. And so there's a box of quotes, and the quotes are from the interviews of the patients, and it's like, what message would you want someone to have? Like, what's a good life message for someone if you were going to give them life advice? And so they're all kind of bundled up, and I got this one. It was tied together, and I kind of put it in my bag, and I held it for our conversation for to look at later, because Lori and I were having a conversation, and I was like, oh, I'll look at it later. I'm sure it says get to work on your dissertation. And so I just kind of put it to the side. And I had our pre-meeting for a class that I am a teaching assistant for last night. And I saw it, and I was like, oh, here we go. And so I opened it, and it says, there is nothing more worthwhile than following your passions and developing your dreams to help other people. And I was like, seriously? um, it's just such affirmation that that I'm headed in the right direction, and that I'm doing the right thing, and that I am on the right track. And that I read this, and I thought, okay, God's with me, because my fear is that, you know, not that I make a wrong decision, but that I make a decision based off fear and based from the place of ego, and not the place of, my soul. And there's this sign above my bed. Can you see it? It says, oh, it's kind of hard to see it. It says, it is well with my soul. And I really, really try to make decisions um, that sit well with my soul. And if it doesn't sit well with me, I have to make an adjustment so that it is. And so it was just really powerful for me to receive that message. Kind of the day after, I made all these decisions, and um, I really just I read it and I was just like, God is with me. This is right. This is the right thing to do. Um, there's that. If God is within her, she cannot fail. And so I just kind of hold on to that, and feel like I don't know what's coming. I don't know what happens. I don't know. I don't know a lot. I I'm walking kind of head first. Head first. I'm walking just into complete and utter gray, and with not having steady income, and then um, or having steady but not having enough, and not uh, and kind of I did this whole like fundraiser thing, and I was so uncomfortable with it, but I did it anyway. And I, didn't end up with the result that I wanted, even though it's not over. But I still have this like overwhelming feeling that like to just wait, to just be patient, to just hold on, in that I'm making the steps in the right direction, and that's all really. It's all we can ever do is like try, and we do what we think is best, and time tells how good of a decision that was. But um, if it's well with your soul, if you feel good about it in that moment, I don't think you regret it. I don't think you regret those things that feel good, not just for a moment, not like a hedonistic or pleasurable to the flesh type of feeling good, um, but something that really feeds you, like capital Y, you. Um, those are the things. And so I think we're all on a journey for our personal legend. um, I love The Alchemist. I think I read it every year. But I'm not willing to give up on my passions, and I'm not willing to give up on the things that um, like just give me so much in my life. And I have gotten back into sketching, and I've gotten back into music, and I've gotten, I write, and I am doing these video blogs now, and I don't know what comes of any of these. I don't know what comes of any of it, but it just, I don't need anything to come of it. I don't need, it just feels so damn good now to just to speak and to have this forum, and to reflect and really be really intentional about my life, and the people in it. It's Emily's birthday. Happy birthday, Emily. I love you. It's just, it's good when it's good. And I don't want to be someone who is hanging on to someone who told them no anymore, or said that I shouldn't create, or said that I couldn't create. And I don't want to be a victim of my will becoming less important, or not acknowledged because of the strong will of someone else. I'm not willing to be person ever again. And so, it's kind of, in some ways, it's not a gift that it happened, it's a gift that came from it. Um, that I can now say, I know what it feels like to not have a choice, and I never want to not have a choice again. I always want to use my voice and to speak and to be clear, and even if I'm terrified of the outcome, to do it anyway. And so that's what I'm doing. I have no idea what comes next. I have no idea what the next step or chapter or anything looks like. I'm terrified out of my mind. But I'm doing it anyway. So, I don't know. I think they call that brave. Thanks for watching, guys.